Hey guys, alright, so this is the 2.3 lesson, the distributive property. So we've talked about the distributive property before, so we're just going to kind of recall what we're going over. So remember, the distributive property is when we take one number and we multiply it by what's inside parentheses. So for example, A times B plus C in parentheses would give me A times B plus A times C. Notice that there's a plus sign in between because there's a plus sign here. Now if there's a subtraction sign here, this is what's going to happen. You're going to be A times B minus A times C. So that should be just a little bit of a review. So quick guided examples. If I'm going to use the distributive property on an algebra expression, I'm going to take this 4 and I'm going to multiply it by everything inside of parentheses. Remember, your work should look just like mine. So 4x, so 4 times x plus 4 times 9. And then simplify. I can't simplify 4x any further, and 4 times 9 is 36. There's no like terms to combine, so that's my final answer. Move on to number 3. Now this is important. Watch your negatives. If you lose your negatives, you're going to get the answer wrong. Negative 3 times n minus negative 3 times 8, negative 3 times 8, okay, negative 3 minus negative 3 times 8 is going to give me negative 24. If I subtract a negative, it's a positive, so it's a negative 3n plus 24. Remember, that's why I say watch your negatives. Okay? Now, those are 2 guided examples. Now, let's look and see what's going on with the rest of this, with the rest of these notes. These should feel relatively easy, I hope at least, because they're kind of a review from before. So if I'm looking at number 1, I'm going to do the same thing I have. Remember, read the directions, simplify each expression by distributing. It's extremely important that when you're doing this, that you show all of your work. If you're not showing your work, you're not going to get credit. So 7 times x plus 7 times 5. And then just simplify. 7 times 5 is 35. Watch your negatives and your subtraction signs. Number 3. Negative 5 times m minus negative 5 times 5. Negative 5m minus negative 5 times 5 is negative 25. If I subtract a negative, it makes it a positive, so negative 5m plus 25. Remember your double negative rule from the first unit. Moving on to number 5. 2 times y plus 2 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6, so the final answer is 2y plus 6. These hopefully do feel very easy. The most important thing, the biggest mistake that students make in this particular section is going to be negatives. Everybody loses negatives in this section. So please make sure that's an easy way to get points off and get the answer wrong. Just double check your negatives. Write out the work. Number 7, negative 7 times 3 minus negative 7 times 5m. Negative 7 times 3 is negative 21 minus negative 7 times 5m. Even though they're not like terms because we're multiplying them, we can combine them. So negative 7 times 5 is negative 35m. Remember, if we have the double negative rule, this is going to turn into addition, so negative 21 plus 35m. That's my final answer. If you have questions, please pause the video, ask them. Number 9, negative 12 times c plus negative 12 times 4. And then I'm going to simplify. So negative 12c plus negative 12 times 4 is negative 48. Simplified, this is negative 12c minus 48. I want you to get in the habit of simplifying it this way. Get in the habit of simplifying it this way. Circle number 10, circle number 12. Circle number 14, if you're looking at your unit schedule, you know what stuff you need to be filling out. Okay? Number 11. Now, there's just a negative sign. What's really there is this tiny invisible 1. So really what this is negative 1 times k minus negative 1 times 2. So that gives me negative 1k minus negative 2. Simplified, negative k, double negative rule, plus 2. Number 13, 9 times 2r minus 9 times 7. 9 times 2 is 18r. Remember, we can, when we're adding and subtracting, you can only add and subtract like terms. Multiply and dividing, they do not have to be like terms. This is important. Okay? So 18r minus 9 times 7. What's 9 times 7? If you use your calculator, everyone should be using their calculator, hopefully. 9 times 7 is going to give me minus 63. That's my final answer. I'm going to box it in. Okay? Now, number 15, there's not a whole lot of space, and it looks overwhelming, and that's okay. So I'm just take it one step at a time. So 4/9 times 3/8 W plus 4/9 times 10. And then just do the math. So it's really important that you simplify your fractions all the way. All your fractions should be in simplest form, and there shouldn't be any decimals in your final answer. Please make sure that you're following directions. 12 over 72 simplifies to 1/6 W. 40 over 9 can't be simplified any further. This should feel like a relatively easy lesson. It needs to go in your folder in the correct spot. If you have any questions, just raise your hand.